Welcome to the Church Brand Guide podcast. My name is Michael Persad. This is the podcast where we want to serve you as your virtual communications director to provide clear communication strategy because we believe that confusion is the enemy of your vision. I would like to serve you through my coaching membership to help you become your church's brand guide. You'll be able to be the branding experts to help turn strangers into contributors. You'll be able to steward your resources well, saying yes to the right things. Ultimately, you're going to see more guests showing up at your church. Through that, you'll see more life change taking place, and you'll be able to get more support for your vision. I've been serving churches for decades, and one thing I've seen is that there's too many churches that are perfectly equipped to reach a world that no longer exists. My agency has been building brands for churches, and we've been helping churches attract more people in their community, and then once they get there, cause them to say, I want to be a part of that. I want to show you how to do this. There are 4 steps. First, you have to get clear about who you serve and how you serve them. Next, you have to create the experience that's in line with solving their problem. Next, you have to have a system to attract people on a regular basis. And step 4, you need to get buy-in. So people say, I want to contribute to that vision. If you get all of these 4 steps right, you'll have brand clarity. Will people choose to come and be a part of what you're doing? So I want to invite you to my coaching membership where you'll have access to a weekly coaching call where I'll unpack a branding strategy. Then you'll be able to ask questions specifically to your church. And I'll give you resources that you can customize for your church so that you can have a plan, a strategy to reach more people. You'll be part of a community where we're all sharing ideas because we truly believe that confusion is the enemy of the vision of the church. Join us today. Go to churchbrandguide.com, click on membership, and sign up. All right. Well, thanks for joining me today. And I just want to say welcome to Church Brand Guide. My name is Michael Persad, and I'm glad to see you here today joining me on this call. We're going to be jumping into a topic that I found extremely helpful when I was on staff at a mega church. We had a lot of resources. I had a team that was working with me, and I was serving as a communication director. And so in that position, in that role, I had to organize a whole church and multiple departments so that I could communicate well. And the result is what I'm going to share with you today. And we're going to jump into that as we talk about how to plan ahead and get momentum built throughout the course of a year, using a 1-year grid to build momentum and to get things done well ahead of time so that you're able to take full advantage of the resources that you have. Whether you have a little bit or a lot of resources, you could be much more effective with it once you get the idea of how to do what I'm going to talk about here today. So Church Brand Guide is where I want to serve you as your virtual communications director because I believe that confusion is the enemy of your vision. And I want to help you become your brand expert so that you can turn strangers into contributors. Again, my internet's going a little bit weak, so hopefully you're still with me here today. I apologize for that. But with that, you're able to steward your resources well. And today's topic is going to really dive into that, being able to steward those finances well, and also the people that serve under you. And ultimately, I want to help you get more guests, see more life change taking place, and get more support for the vision that God has given to your church. We have 4 steps that we talk through. Get clear is number 1. Create the experiences, number 2. Number 3 is to attract people and get buy-in. Once we have all 4 of these steps in place, we're going to achieve brand clarity. We're going to be clear about the vision that God has given to us and how people can jump in and be part of what God is doing. Okay, looks like I am back after losing some signal here. Let's try this one more time. And I'll try to keep this short today. That way we don't go on and off all day. So thanks for hanging out and for bearing with me. So let's move on. Let's press forward on this. So I don't know about you, but you've maybe been in this position before where you're always working from behind. It seems like you're always one step behind. There's an event happening, and you're trying to play catch up with your promotions. You're trying to get everybody pulled together so that you can get the information you need. Well, I want to share with you how this is the thing I'm going to share with you about the system, this framework, this grid I'm going to share with you is going to help you be intentional about your yearly rhythm. The solution to the problem of always working from behind is to know what's coming ahead, way ahead. And we want to, when we do this right, more people show up and more people stick. So as we jump into this, I want to set it up with this conversation. God did this. He modeled it to us in the Old Testament. And the idea was that he set up these 7 feasts. And people that are Jewish still practice these feasts today. Some Christians actually still do it. But there's 7 of them that happen during the course of the year. And it does really a couple different things. There's probably multiple things that it does. This is not a Bible study. I'm just kind of making a point with this. But it does a couple things. One, it helps people to remember what God did to free the Israelites. It helps the Israelites to remember how God did that. And for us as Christians too, remembering that God did all that that he did to free his people. And then second thing it did, these feasts pointed to Jesus, the coming Savior that would come. And sure enough, Jesus fulfilled all the different promises in these feasts. And it was really neat. But the idea that I'm trying to get to today is that there was a yearly rhythm where the Jewish people would get together and have these feasts. And by having these feasts, they would remember God, and it would point to Jesus, the coming Messiah that would come. Today, I want to share with you this grid, this diagram that helps us to look at our year. So as a church, we have a rhythm. Most churches have a rhythm. I'm going to share with you what I think is an ideal rhythm. It's just a starting point. When I say ideal, what I mean it's a starting point. Every church is unique and different, but there are certain things that that most churches can take advantage of, especially in the marketing realm. You know, I think about Peeps. You know those candies, the marshmallow candies around Easter. They're Peeps. They shape them like little bunnies or chicks. Well, Peeps has like one time a year where they have to hit a home run, and that's their one time to get their product out there. In church world, we have a few times of year where it is amazing for us to promote to the community, and they will respond. So I want to put that into this. Plus, there's a few things that are specific to our church that we do well that we want to put into this grid, this framework as well. But we want to be able to create a framework for your church that allows you to take advantage of the natural flow of the year, and so you're able to plan accordingly to take advantage of that. So I'm going to break this down into little bites, and then we'll come back to this big picture here, because it's a little bit overwhelming to look at it all at once. So let's take a look. First of all, we're gonna be talking quarterly. When we plan, we want to plan by quarters. Quarters are 3 months. So the first quarter is January, February, and March. So if you think by 3-month quarters, it helps you actually to get your brain wrapped around what needs to happen, and you're able to make greater progress in your planning if you're thinking by quarters. Our brains are actually wired to think in 3-month increments versus thinking in a 1-year block. A 1-year block is really a hard thing to get your head wrapped around. In fact, Michael Hyatt, he's a kind of a planning guru. He's got this blog and a bunch of different things that he puts out there, including a planner that I use. It's a 1-year planner. In fact, I'm going to show this to you right now. It's called a 1-year planner. And in it, he has you think by quarters. In fact, you order this planner by quarters. And every quarter you order a new planner, because what he's done is some research that says, hey, people can't think further than 3 months, like not very effectively. So if you have a goal that's a 1-year goal, what you need to do is break it down into quarters. In first quarter, I'm going to get this part of it done. Second quarter, that part of it. Third quarter, a little bit more. And then by the end of the year, you can get your 1-year goal done. But that's the big idea. We want to think along these lines as this planner, and be able to think by quarters and accomplishing certain goals by quarter. So first quarter on the left, I've kind of laid out there a few ideal events. And then this is where I'm showing you maybe what a recommendation might be for a church, just a general church. Your church is going to be specific to your needs, but here's a few things for you to chew on if you're not already doing this. January is a great time for an invite series. People are coming back to church. They're making New Year's resolutions. And if you take advantage of that natural momentum, you can mobilize your congregation so they are inviting people in January to come to church. Because again, there's a lot of New Year's resolutions that are happening. Let me check a chat real quick. Make sure that. Oh yeah, thanks. So Marquita, the planner is by Michael Hyatt, Hyatt, Michael Hyatt. So thank you for the chat. That lets me know my internet is working. I appreciate that. But it's called the Full Focus Planner. It's amazing. If you're a leader, I would recommend getting it for yourself. So invite series in January, when people are thinking about coming back or creating New Year's resolutions, a lot of those are spiritual. So help them come back to that. And then also do a guest-friendly series that introduces the guest to Jesus, to the church, and gets them going on that new year. Launching groups of some kind, if you have small groups that meet in homes or maybe Sunday school classes. Usually January, February is a great time to launch your groups. So I have it down here for February. February is also a great time for conference, February and March, that time frame. If you do a women's conference, a men's conference, a marriage conference of some kind at your church, that's a great time to hold one of those. Discipleship, that's a great time for discipleship classes. Sometimes people do a Beth Moore Bible study, or they might have some other type of Bible study. Financial Peace University, or a lot of programs can take place around that time frame as well, in about March, to get people through that right before Easter. So Q2 kicks off with Easter. Easter is a Super Bowl. This is one of the natural events that God has given to us as a church, where people will come to church when they won't come any other time. So make sure Easter is awesome and is geared towards that new guest. Mother's Day is happening right after Easter. So that's an opportunity for you to use Easter to invite people to come back on Mother's Day. So Mother's Day is when you have a great opportunity to invite moms to come to church, and anybody who has a mom to come to church. And mom has a lot of clout. So mom has the ability to say, hey, you should, for Mother's Day, I want you to go to church with me. And leverage that, leverage the mom, get that done. Also in May, I recommend launching groups your second semester or trimester. Usually groups are done in trimesters for people to be able to lock in for about 3 months. And then at the end of 3 months, one system, one way of doing it is to be able to release them so that they don't feel like they have to commit to groups for forever. It's usually a great time for you to kind of relaunch in May, so that there's another trimester that starts with groups. Again, you don't have to do it this way. I'm just sharing with you some things that churches have done that have worked well. And this is one of them. Father's Day, another big day for inviting people to come to church. Statistically, Father's Day is a little tricky because it's one of the lowest attended days in the church as a whole. Also, Father's Day is, I believe, it's one of the least celebrated holidays. But I put it on here because as the church, I think it's an opportunity for us to turn Father's Day into something great in our community. What if you could be the best at celebrating Father's Day and inviting dads, men, to come to your church? So that's one of the strategies we're using at Vibrant Church. We want to use Father's Day to reach men, and that's part of our vision, to reach men in this community with the gospel of Jesus. Q3, Serve Day. That's where we get out in the community and serve. August is a great time for some sort of a revival, if you will. I put that word in there just as a way to say, hey, it's just calling the church people back together for a time of prayer, and just kind of focusing on getting back after summer. So Q3 is a great time for some sort of maybe guest speakers come in. Maybe you do some things that are more internal, like worship nights, some things like that just kind of rejuvenates the people in the church, because September is coming, and September is time for us to go out once again, focus outwards, inviting people. So September, some sort of invite series is a great idea. Launching groups again in September is a great idea. So you'd have groups going in September, October, and November. We don't necessarily find that groups are effective in December, so we usually take a month off on that. Again, just in general. And then I put this thing anniversary in there. A lot of churches started in September. A lot of churches do start in September or January. But your anniversary is a great time for you to have an event of some kind that you gather people to come together and just celebrate what God is doing. So an anniversary is kind of like a birthday. It's just a natural time where people will say, yes, I'll come, when they might not say yes any other time. So use that and celebrate the church and what God's doing through the church with some sort of an anniversary whenever that lands within the course of your calendar. Quarter four, October is a great time for a community event, whether it's another serve event where you go out and serve, or if it's like a fall festival where you host it at your church and you just invite the community to come. October is a great time where families are looking for some things to do together. And that's a great time for the church to do a trunk or treat, harvest festival, something along those lines. We've seen a lot of different ones that have been very, very effective in that time frame. And then in November, if you have conferences, that's another time for a conference where it works really well. Early November before Thanksgiving. So men's conference, women's conference, marriage conference, anything along those lines. It's a great time to hold a conference of some kind if you do that as a church. So in my calendar here, I just put a block in, you can see over on the left in quarter one in February, I put conference. And then again here in quarter four, I put another time for a conference based on what your church does. Some churches are really big on marriage and they have a marriage event. So maybe that's a great time for you to do that. And then Christmas is another natural time for you to reach out to the community, invite them to come into the church and make a big deal about something that is naturally happening. So in the course of this quarter 1, 2, 3, and 4 calendar, I'm trying to lay out some times where we can take advantage of natural times of the year where people are thinking about something such as Christmas or Mother's Day, Easter, those type of things, and take advantage of those times, because then we don't have to educate people. Sometimes churches do events that are very internal events, and you have to educate people of why they should care and why they should come to the event. So we can have a few of those, but I would just say, hey, be conscious of what's already happening and see if you can't take advantage of the natural calendar flow that our culture is naturally going towards. Also, I've highlighted a few of these in blue, and at the bottom I have the big 5. So I've just challenged you, what are the big 5 events that are really important to your church and inviting the community to your church? So I've highlighted 5. One of them is Easter. Second one is Mother's Day. Another one is Father's Day. Again, we talked about that a little bit with Father's Day. The fourth one is anniversary, and the fifth one is Christmas. So those are just the big 5 that you could take advantage of to reach out into the community and invite them to come to your church during the course of the year. So I'm just going to ask you, what are your big 5? Your church might be, again, really amazing at holding a women's conference, and your women's conference, man, everybody just wants to come to the women's conference, even the guys, but they can't. But don't throw that out. Keep that and put that in a great place where it can thrive and do even better, because you're spreading it out and you're not putting it in the middle of a bunch of other stuff. So one of the other things to point out is that we don't want to take resources from one thing for another thing. So spread out your events, take a look at the year as a whole, and plan things accordingly so that you are using your resources wisely. Not only your finances, that's part of it, but also using your resources of your volunteers wisely, so you're not overdoing it, or maybe your staff on church, your church staff that they get paid to work there. Sometimes they get burned out because we're trying to do too much all at once in one season. So pay attention to that as well. All right, so 3 things to point out once again with this big idea of planning 1 year in advance. One thing I wanted to mention was that this is July. It's kind of a downtime for most churches. So I'd encourage you, before it kicks back up, things get into high gear here in about a month or two, take a moment to take a look at your next year. Like go from July to June of next year and just plan things out. Take a look at the calendar and do what we're talking about here today. So I want to set up three big ideas. One is to plan, second is to promote, and the third is to execute. When it comes to events, you plan the event, you promote the event, you execute the event. And that's what I'm going to show you on this grid. This is what this grid is going to help us. So we're coming full circle where we're going to talk about this diagram. So as you can see in this diagram, I have quarter 1, 2, 3, and 4 on the left-hand side. What we've done, this is a little bit of the Vibrant Church playbook. So this is really, this is like reality. This is something we're actually going to be using, and it's come from years of experience working at different churches and serving different churches. So we're kind of putting the best of the best together as far as in my world into this calendar. So hopefully you can grab a few things from this. So in quarter 1, we're going to be focused on connecting. So we just have a theme. Quarter 2 is about reaching out. Easter's in quarter 2, so big time of year for that. Mother's Day, Father's Day, those type of things. So it's reaching out. Week 3 is kind of a discipleship. It's that revival time that we talked about. It's kind of a week quarter 3. So we're going to focus on that. Quarter 4 is about mission, being on mission and doing some stuff. You know, Christmas, the holidays is usually a great time to get out and do some things. So the overall theme is mission. January, we are planning a few things, we are promoting a few things, and we are doing a few things. So I just want to show you real quick in January. In green, you'll see Easter, because we are planning Easter in January. So again, on the right-hand side, this diagram, green is plan. So we are planning Easter. We are promoting the things in blue. Growth Track is our discipleship program. So we're promoting Growth Track, and we're also promoting groups, because groups are going to start up in February. And then the thing that's really big in the orange color at the very bottom is our invite series. So that's what we're executing in January. So you can kind of see how this works. In January, we're planning some things, we're promoting some things, and then we're executing one thing to happen during the course of that month. And then what I've done, again, this is when I was on staff at a mega church, had lots of resources, I needed to get everybody on the same page. I went from month to month and just said, hey, this is what we're planning, this is what we're promoting, and this is what we're doing. So that my communications team was well equipped to be able to win, because they know what they needed to do in January to prepare for April, and they could win because of that. It also helped, a byproduct, it just helped the church as a whole, is everybody was thinking they had to like get all their stuff in January for Easter. They had to be prepared in January to give it all to us so we could promote it. So it helped them get better, so to create a better Easter event. So I want to encourage you with that. Think about what that looks like for your church. And then this grid just shows you a little bit more of how this plays out from month to month. So I'll zoom in just a little bit so you can see that a little bit closer. January, February, and then we go down into the second quarter, April, May, June, and you can kind of see how everything we talked about gets plotted into this diagram. I will share this diagram on our closed Facebook group so that you can have access to it and take a closer look at it. But I also wanted to show you one other thing that's also in the Facebook group. This is a spreadsheet that I created that takes that nice looking diagram and makes it into an actual tool that you can use. So again, I have January, February, March, April, May all laid out. And then as you go down, these are the things that are happening. And then these are the things that we are planning. So at the very bottom, we're planning, again, these are actual examples from the church I used to work at. So I just saved it. I put it into Facebook so you can go in and edit it and change it. It's a Word document. So if you wanted to use it, you can do that. So in January, we're planning Easter. We're planning Summit, which was the youth camp at the time. They're all communication things, and you can use this for church planning as well. We're creating promotions for these items. We're printing, so I added a little bit more detail in this version of it. We're actually printing some of these things right now in January. And then in media, we're actually showing some things. And then some events are happening. 21 Days of Prayer was happening in January. this event called Girl Time was happening in January. So that's at the very top, what's actually happening. So hopefully that helps you out. This is very much more granular. But if you just take it 1 month at a time, it's a little bit less daunting to think about, hey, well, what am I planning? What am I promoting this month? And then what is actually happening this month? And then just play that out throughout the rest of the year. And then what you need to do is just at the beginning of the month, come take a look at this and just make sure you execute. It makes it easy so you're not having to guess. And then the whole church gets to be able to get on the same rhythm. If this can go beyond their communications team, the whole church gets to be in rhythm now to say, hey, in January, we have to have all our stuff together for Easter, and we need to be ready to go as a church so that we have all the details so we can start communicating those things well and producing really high level stuff. So the results that you're going to see, if you follow through with this, the results you're going to see is that the level of your promotions gets better, gets more creative. And as a result of that, you're able to reach more people. And because of your creativity, you're not just trying to reach people to show up, you're trying to get them to come back after the event. So you're able to plan that in as well. So ultimately, you're going to reach more people, you're going to attract more people, and you're going to get people to stick because you're just able to do a much better job at the marketing and the communications piece because you're thinking in advance. You're thinking by quarters, and you're putting together a plan well in advance. All right, so let me start to wrap things up. Looks like my internet was able to last, so I'm grateful that we got through this. I'll put the replay into our Facebook group so you can have access to it. I want to invite you to join me next. Actually, I have a mistake on my screen. Let me not show you that. I want to show you, I want to make an announcement that we are shifting from Tuesday to Thursday. So our normal meeting time is Tuesday afternoons at 1 o'clock. I got some feedback that, hey, churches in general are in a lot of meetings on Tuesday. So I'm going to bump it to Thursday, and that starts next week. So Thursday, the 31st of July, it's the last day of July. Join me at 1 o'clock, same time, so 1 o'clock in the afternoon, Eastern time, so 12 o'clock Central. And we're just going to shift that day, make it on Thursday. We're going to try that for a little bit. And I'll take some Q&A next week. Like as usual, though, I'll bring some new content, share some new stuff that we've come across or that we've done. And it'll be a great session where we just get to hang out and have a conversation. So bring your questions next Thursday. Let's talk about what's going on at your church and how this may be applied or how you're applying this at your church so that we can get some good feedback as a group. All right, guys, I'm going to wrap it up for right now. Thanks for joining me. I like to keep this about 30 minutes long, and I'm going to hang out just for a little bit longer. If you guys need to ask a question or two, feel free to do that. Marquita, yes, the chart is editable. There's a Word document version in Facebook that you can open up in Microsoft Word and then be able to edit that document for yourself. So feel free to do that. So once again, just wanted to share the Full Focus Planner from Michael Hyatt. It's a great tool that I use. And yeah, I guess that's it for today. So if there's any questions, feel free to unmute yourself and ask some questions right now. I'll hang out. If you have any comments as well, I'd love to hear any comments that maybe you've done something like this before, or maybe you've struggled and maybe this is going to help you out.
For me, it'll help out immensely. And this is Marquita. I am over the marketing team and I also am over special events. So two huge teams that require tons of planning. And I try to always forecast a few months out, try not to give my team too much to work with. And as I'm looking forward to getting set up and plan for next year, which is 2020, this will help me do so. So great material that I can begin to prepare now as we start to get prepared for the new year. So when I have my meeting in for the fourth quarter, as we're planning for the first quarter of 2020, this would be some great material that I get a chance to leave with my team that we can use. So thank you, thank you, thank you.
Awesome. I know, man, it'll help you quite a bit, especially in both of those areas that you're in charge of. And then also just a couple of things. There's some great tools like Asana or Trello that are project management tools that are free. There's also one called Airtable. So I'm giving you like a spreadsheet version, but there's also some project management tools. There's another one called Basecamp that you could possibly look at getting into that might help you do this. Just as far as like getting communication into the stream as well with your team. So might as well check it out. I liked Trello was great. It was really simple. So Trello, Trello, and Asana, Asana, I believe. Both of those were really great tools that I've used in the past.
Thank you. Just found them both, and I'll take a look at both. So for what I do, planners are just amazing. I can't really speak for anybody else, but they are what I need to live by, for especially for work and then just personally. So thanks for sharing.
Yeah, absolutely. And then as you work with as a group, some of those digital tools are going to be very useful so that you can put information into one place and then somebody's able to get that information or get feedback from you. So awesome. Glad you found it. Trello's probably the one to start with if you haven't done one of these before. It's really easy. It's fun to use. You don't need a manual to figure it out. It's pretty simple.
Okay, cool.
All right. Any other final questions or comments? I don't want to hold you too long. I always try to be conscious of your time, and I appreciate you joining me on the weekly call.
Hey, Michael, this is Ed. How do I get to that Facebook page?
Oh yeah, Ed, if you are part of our membership, there's a group called. I send out a link every week to the group, and it's basically called Church Branding Hub is the name of the page. And then I just you have to request to join, and then once you request, somebody will let you in from my team, and then you have access to all the playbacks and the resources.
Awesome, thank you.
All right, I know Pastor Williams, you were doing an event this past weekend. It was a picnic of some kind, I think, and it was crazy hot. So any feedback from your event?
Well, no one fell out. When I say hot, it was the air temperature was like 96 degrees, and I think with the heat index, it was close to 110, 108. So it was very low key, but we had a great time. So we need to relook at maybe another time or part of the year. So it exceeded the expectations. However, because of the weather, it did affect the outcome in some way.
Right. That makes sense. It was hot. Most of the country was hot. So makes sense to move that maybe to a cooler time of year. Outdoor events are always tricky.
Yep.
Awesome. Well, thanks for that report. All right. Well, I'll wrap it up for today. Thanks for joining me. Remember, next week, we're going to be doing it on Thursday afternoon, not Tuesday, on Thursday afternoon. I'm actually going to a conference here in the next week between now and then. It's a marketing conference. It's kind of what I do. So one of the things that I want to do is learn new stuff so I can bring it to this group and apply it. So I think after the conference, I might not have it on that day next week, but I'm eager to share with you some of the stuff that we're learning. It's not a church conference. It is a straight up marketing conference. So my hope in going to it is that I can get some new, fresh ideas from the marketing world. And because of my background in church world, I can basically filter out some things that we can use in church world that'll help us and present that to you guys. So that's kind of what I'm up to here in the next week. I'm excited about it. Welcome to the Church Brand Guide podcast. My name is Michael Persad. This is the podcast where we want to serve you as your virtual communications director to provide clear communication strategy because we believe that confusion is the enemy of your vision.